Well, I mean, entrepreneurship is really, there's no set pattern or any kind of a roadmap. I mean, the establishment of Thai in Pakistan is an example of entrepreneurship. I happened to be in Palo Alto. I'd gone there to meet some friends, and the Thai people, as you know, Thai is 99% Indian sponsored. And in fact, Thai means, and the entrepreneurship, Thai US is, stands for the IND-US entrepreneur. And they heard of me and they said, we want something in Pakistan. And I said, all right, this is something which we would want to have in Pakistan, because there was no such institution or no such development in Pakistan. So I saw an opportunity that let's take advantage of the success of the Indians in the Silicon Valley. And though there was a few Pakistanis, I would say less than 5% makeup of Thai in the Silicon Valley was Pakistani, and 95% were Indians. But the Indians were very broad-minded, and the reason they were broad-minded, but most of the leadership at that time in Thai, in the United States, they were born in Pakistan. So they had this emotional tie, and they said, we want to do something in Pakistan. So I said, I'd be very happy to set up the first base of Thai in Lahore and provide whatever support it required. But I wanted the IND-US to be combined, to be made into Indus rather than Indian-US entrepreneurship. So this is what they agreed as far as Pakistan was concerned. I don't know what the nomenclature is elsewhere. So I mean, the existence of Thai here is the first step in entrepreneurship, and this is something that I was lucky to be a part of this effort. But then, as you know, my background, I was born into a business family, so I was lucky that I had this opportunity from the family, first for getting good education, and then to be given an opportunity to set up industry. And I was also very fortunate that the first major break I had was at the age of 28. I was given, I had gone to the family with the suggestion, or with the project. I said, I've been to Sweden. I've talked to a company in Sweden who's interested in setting up a packaging company in Pakistan, and would you support this? They said, yes, we can give you the money, but we can't give you any other support. So you have to do it yourself. So then I went to the Swedes and I said, the family is willing to provide me the resources. You have to tell me how to go about it. And so I spent the next 25 years working very closely with the Swedes. And they were world leaders in their particular field. And it was family owned on the other side, so there was no there was no bureaucracy. The decision was made by owners on the other side, so the communication was very quick. They could say yes or no, and so the chemistry between them and my family, and especially with me, who was their main contact here, worked extremely well. So and the Swedish family and the Swedish group, it was led by Mr. Ruben Rausing. He was a person who was always thinking outside the box. He was the man who really introduced modern packaging in Sweden, in Europe. He studied in America after the First World War. And so he thought that there was a fantastic opportunity. And I can tell you, in the early 60s, the overall packaging industry in America was more than the automobile industry, because goods were being packaged and sold, whether it was consumer packaging or large packaging, moving goods from here to there. So he saw a tremendous opportunity, and he, of course, put up the packaging plant in Sweden. But he was always thinking of new ideas, new things. And he came up with this new development, which is now Tetra Pak, which was, he was always looking for areas where there was opportunity and where things were not happening in a very progressive way. And he saw that milk is a product which is perishable. And if you can stretch the life of milk, in Europe, of course, you can stretch the life by putting it in the fridge and have a cold chain between the dairy and the consumer. And milk would last maybe 3-4 days or even a week if the chain was very effective. But he was looking beyond that. Europe only had maybe 20% or 15% of the world population. 87% or 85% of the population had no refrigeration. So he said, can we pack milk and make it, and don't destroy either the color or the flavor of the milk, and keep it for a long time. And he put his people into this development, and I was very much in the picture as his local Pakistani partner, but he kept on discussing with me that this is what we are doing and this is what was happening. And to cut a long story short, they came up with the development of what they call UHT milk, ultra heat treated milk, which you heat the milk for 2 seconds at a very high temperature, and then you cool it, and it would kill all the bacteria in it but not destroy the taste or spoil the color. And then you put it in a pack and make sure that the pack is completely, it doesn't allow oxygen to get in. So that pack was developed, and it had to be economical, otherwise you could put milk in a bottle and close it down, but the cost of the bottle would be more than the cost of the milk. So those were challenges, and because I was very much sort of informed of what was happening, it gave me new ideas. And then, of course, there was really no entrepreneurship, but I said, let's start a similar operation in Pakistan, because Pakistan, there was no regular milk development here of milk processing or milk distribution. Everybody had a buffalo in his own house and he had pure milk, but the poor man was dependent on the person who brought milk from the village to the city, and on the way he was doing everything that could be done to spoil the milk. So we there was no invention in it, but if you call it an enterprise, we wanted to introduce this long life milk in Pakistan. Therefore, the challenge was because the people were very, they were not, there's very little knowledge, scientific knowledge here. So the general conception was there's a lot of chemical in the milk. Why? How can you keep milk, which is, our claim was and is that you can put milk in a Tetra Pak carton and keep for 3 months at ordinary temperature, and it wouldn't go bad. And it was impossible for people to believe in it. So there the entrepreneurship came, how to persuade people to buy this milk. And we came up with an idea. I said, forget about the Gulbarg area. Let's go into the city of Lahore, in the walled city. And you give 2 packs of milk to a house, and not to the second house, but to the third house and to the fifth house and the seventh house and the ninth house, and asked them to open up that pack, one today and one after a week, and see if there's any difference. This was part of promotion. So the house number 2, number 4, number 6, number 8 got inquisitive that why are they getting milk, what is happening? Within a month, we stopped distributing and they were all buying milk. Instead of putting on the ad, this is what we did to persuade people that nothing goes wrong with the milk. So this is where you have to think outside the box. This was not in a book written anywhere. It had to be applied to the local. And today, milk in Tetra Pak is sold from the Chinese border to the Iranian border. And this is the first time that a poor man can buy pure milk. So here, one can feel satisfaction that you did something which went right and which has been a success. But it's not one-man effort. It's an effort of the whole team, and of course the tremendous support that we got from the Swedish company Tetra Pak from Sweden to open up this thing. And they were struggling on their own in India for about 30 years, and we were far ahead of India in packed milk and distribution of milk. But now the Indians have caught up because India is moving faster and much better. And in also the introduction of packaging itself, it was an unknown industry in Pakistan. We were the first ones to have a company which only focused on packaging. And the whole idea of packaging is to provide means to a manufacturer of products to reach the consumer. And the whole idea is to make it economical, attractive, and also safe, so that there is no adulteration or mixing or that thing. So packaging industry from that point of view has been, and then other industries that, take for instance, to introduce Tetra Pak. We were arguing with the Swedes. They said, why don't you sell Tetra Pak here? We said, the industrialist here will not look at milk as an exciting industry. They think that putting a cement factory or a textile mill or a sugar plant, those are the industries. Milk is the job for a gawala. So I said, let's put up the first plant ourselves and then demonstrate to them that there's money to be made and there's something which is based on an indigenous raw material and there is a market for it, there's need for it. So this is how we set up the company called Milkpak. And I ran it for 10 years. A lot of struggle to introduce packed milk, as I mentioned. But once it got going, then Nestle, which company at that time was 120 years old, now it's 150 years old, were looking at Pakistan. They were selling products from Switzerland. But they had no market here. They had no manufacturing facility here, though they were in India for a long time. And they came and made a survey as to what opportunity there was, and they saw and heard of our company. And they came and met me. Before they came here, before I met them, I said, you take them to see our plant. This was in Sheikhupura. Then take them to the milk district from where we are buying the milk. Then bring them to packages to show them the kind of business that we do. Then bring them to my room so that I don't have to tell him anything about myself. He should have seen everything. So he came in. I remember this gentleman was one of the senior members of the management of Nestle. He was in charge of the whole of Asia, Mr. Rudy Shan. Unfortunately, he's not alive anymore. And he said, Nestle has decided to come to Pakistan. And we We have looked at you. We have two options. Our first option would be if you'll take us as a partner. And the second option is we'll put up a plant ourselves. I said, I'm looking for a partner. And he said, how can we come together? I said, I control 80% of the shares. You take 40%. I'll keep 100%. You run the company. And the price is what is on the stock exchange today. He nearly fell out of his chair. Because I knew that Nestle is a world-class company. They'll run the company well. They'll put add value to it. And I don't want to bargain with them. And he said, I can't ask for anything more. The price of the share of that company was 27 rupees. Today it is 7,000 rupees. Not a bad decision. And it took me 10 minutes. There was no lawyer sitting in the room. You could call this entrepreneurship.